The Shame Street media calls us election deniers. Well, they are actually fraud deniers because we've actually had the proof. Yeah. Unfortunately, we have a corrupt judicial system that won't see the evidence. So if you won't see the evidence, then how can you acknowledge that there is the evidence? And that's the problem. But however, we never quit. We don't back down. We don't surrender. Surrender's not in my creed. I hope it's not in yours. Okay? They say we are a threat to democracy, right? Well, let me translate. We're a threat to the Democrats. Pure and simple. Never quit. Never back down. Never falter. Never surrender. And I'm proud to say that I'm here to endorse our next senator for Arizona, Kari Lake.
Oh my gosh, we got a party in Lake Havasu City, don't we? And this is the town that knows how to party. More than anywhere in Arizona. I mean, you guys put Scottsdale to shame and Tempe to shame. You know how to party, and you are the most patriotic city in the entire state. Thank you so much for your life, country. I love you guys so much. I mean, when I need a break from kind of the insanity that David just talked about, where the media is coming after us, and we know they're just a bunch of liars, and we've got the deep state going after us, I go, can we please get to Mojave County? I just need a little tiny bit of sanity. So thank you for providing us some sanity in this crazy world. We love you. Arizona loves you. America loves you. Can we just look up at our old glory up there, the stars and stripes and the beautiful wind that's given us a great show? We're so blessed to live in this country. I was half joking when I said I tried to count the flags I saw when I was going to our last event. And I started, and it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That was one block. We turned the corner, 8, 9, 10. I finally, after like 4 blocks, I said, I've lost count. This is such a beautiful, patriotic, beautiful community. This reminds me of growing up in the 80s. Who remembers the 80s when it was actually cool to be patriotic? I do. And we had an incredible leader back in the 80s. You know, we were kind of in some rough times, kind of similar to today. Actually, it wasn't quite as bad as today. We had Jimmy Carter. I know, and he almost looks like a genius now when you compare him to Joe Biden. Jimmy Carter, the genius. And America was delivered into an ash heap to an amazing president named Ronald Reagan. The president of my youth, yes. I'm gonna date myself. I was 10 years old when he was elected. I loved Ronald Reagan. And he came, and everything about him was just perfect at the time. We had America in a bad place, and we had this gentle, calm optimist who loved our country and showed us that we could come together, and no matter how bad things were, with optimism, with American ingenuity, with patriotism, we could all come together and solve our problems. He's exactly what we needed at that time. And you know what they said about him? All the same things they're saying about me. Oh, he's just an actor. He doesn't have any ability. What is his experience? Guess what? He had courage and he loved this country. And he was a great communicator, and we needed that. We needed that at the time. And frankly, we need it now because we have an incredible story to communicate. We've got the solutions to the problems we're all facing. And so I'm happy to come out and sell America First policies to the American people. Although I don't know that we have to sell it because they lived it a few years ago and they miss it just as much as I do and we do. How many of you miss America First policies? I'm putting 2 arms up for that one. Missing 2 arms if you really miss it. And then we watched as our country got mired in endless wars. We watched as the economy just faltered. And an amazing man decided he was an outsider and he had the greatest world that you could ever imagine, properties around the globe, an incredible family, an incredible business. He didn't need any of the garbage that was thrown at him, and he decided that he was going to jump into politics. I think you know who I'm talking about, Donald J. Trump. Do you know that name? I'll never forget it. He came down the escalator with beautiful Melania, the first lady that we miss so much, and he started speaking, and he made sense. For the first time we heard somebody in politics who made sense. And I remember the heads that were just exploding in the newsroom. I worked in news at the time, and they're like, oh, this guy's the worst. You know, they called him all those names that David just said. And I said, are you guys kidding? He's speaking the language of the American people who are fed the hell up. And that's when I decided I'm going to get behind that guy, and I'm going to ride that all the way into the sunset, because this is the guy that's going to save America. And surely he did that. He did that. Wasn't it amazing how he brought down, he was up against 17 other Republicans. And everyone said, there's no way that guy will do it. And one by one by one, President Trump kept winning and winning and winning. He said, you're going to get tired of winning. Guess what? I'm not tired of winning. I want to do a little more winning. Anybody else feel like winning some more? I'm so honored to have be able to call him friend. We had an event last night with the Mojave County GOP, and he called into that event. He understands what Mojave County is about. He understands the patriotism, the willingness to get out and get involved. You guys aren't going to just vote and then that's it and hope and pray that things work out. You're going to get involved. He knows you are going to get 10 friends out to the polls. He knows that when we see conservatives moving over, escaping California and those disastrous policies, and they set up here and they buy a home and they say, we want to live in patriotic Mojave County, you got to talk to them and say, register to vote. We can't have anybody not ready to go on November 5th when we take back the United States of America and take back our country, right? He's willing, thank you, I love you. He's willing to continue to fight for us. And I will tell you, the next 6 months are going to be difficult. If you are not ready for action, and I have a feeling with as many veterans and former law enforcement, active law enforcement. Raise your hand if you're a veteran, former law enforcement, or active law enforcement. All right, I don't even need to tell you guys this. I don't need to tell you to buckle up. It's going to be difficult. You guys are ready for it. I need to say this in other parts of the state, but it's going to be a crazy run the next 6 months. This is the moment we have to save our country. This is the moment we have. They're going to throw everything they can. They're going to write a bunch of lies. They're going to try to divide us. We're going to see people on our own team try to divide us. We have to ignore all of that. Focus on what we want in the future, which is a country where we have a secure border, where we actually take these people who poured across our border, invaded our country, we send them back home to their homeland. You guys okay with that? Somebody said the other day, wait a minute. Do you mean when they come across the border, you want to put them on an airplane and send them back home? How would we do that? And I said, what do you mean? They're coming across our border, and we're putting them on an airplane and sending them further into America. Let's send them the other way, okay? The only way to save our homeland is to send these people back to their homeland. The only way we can show true compassion is to start showing some compassion for the American people. President Trump wants to do that. I want to support him. Now listen, we have some great people. We have some great patriots in this country. President Trump has learned a lot. He's figured out who's with him, who's not with him. Thank God. I mean, is all the bad stuff that's happened. I think we've all learned a few things. First of all, I don't know about you, but I've become much, 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 much closer to God in the past 5 years. Anybody else finding themselves praying a little bit more? Anybody else finding their butts in church on Sunday morning every single Sunday? That's what it's really about. There's been a war on God, and finally we're realizing we cannot get through this without God. Without God, we can't get through this, and God is with us right now. I was talking to Pastor David this morning, and he gave me the opportunity to speak to his amazing church. And I said, I think sometimes we forget, we've read the Bible. All of us have been through, Bible study and confirmation and all of that. And we think of all these stories from the Bible, and we think that the God that's with us today is lesser than the God that was in the Bible. We think that the God that's with us today is somehow diminished because in a way we've diminished him and taken him out of our culture. But guess what? The same God who parted the Red Sea is with us today, and he's going to give us a red wave November 5th. November 5th. Christian Visibility Day. Have you heard about that? President Trump called it that. That is our opportunity for our friends who maybe haven't registered. They say, God's going to take care of it. Well, God is counting on us to get involved as well. We can't count on God to do everything. That's why I wake up every day and I say, hey, number one, thank you for another day. Number two, how can I be of service? How can I make sure that everything I do and say today is pleasing to you? And I think we have to remember that as we go into every day, because the next 6 months are going to be pretty intense. But we're going to get through it, and we're going to save this. And we've got that same God who parted the Red Sea with us today. And I think we can all say a big fat amen on that one, right? Amen. I want you to know, so you might say, well, what are you going to do when you get to D.C.? And I know that President Trump is ready for me to get there and support him. He kept saying, when are you going to get in the race, Kari? I'm ready to endorse you. And I said, give me a little time. I'm trying to plan this thing out. I want to make sure we're doing it right. And he said, come on, let me know. As soon as you get in, I'm going to endorse you. I'm the only candidate in the country that President Trump, the second I announced I was running for office, endorsed me. And I'm so honored to have that endorsement. I will never step away or back away from President Trump. I love you. I love you. There's nobody who has fought harder in my lifetime for this country in politics than President Trump. Can you think of anyone? I mean, we've had some good leaders out there. President Trump is not going to only go down as the greatest president in our history. He is going to go down as one of the greatest leaders in humankind. I really believe that. That's how big of a fighter he is. And he's ready to fight. And he said, I need you with me in D.C. in the United States Senate. Because guess what? The road to the White House and the road to the Senate majority goes right through Arizona. We are the most consequential, important state in this upcoming election. Do you understand that? We are ground zero for the border, for the invasion, for the economy, for inflation. We're ground zero when it comes to issues like our kids being indoctrinated. We're ground zero for abortion. We are ground zero for literally the inflation, you name it. National security, everything that's going on, Arizona is right there in the middle of it. And President Trump can't win unless he wins Arizona, and that's going to require each and every one of us to go out like we are on a mission for survival and to save this country. Are you really ready to go out for the next 6 months every single day and do at least one thing to save our country every single day? If you're with me, raise your hand. I got to hear you. I'm ready. I don't care what they call me. They can call me every name in the book. All those names David said, you know what? God knows who I am. I don't give a crap what the media thinks about me. Frankly, I'm not listening to the media. And I have a feeling here in Lake Havasu City, Mojave County, you're not listening to the media either, right? To hell with them. To hell with them. We are going to go out and do something every day, whether it means talking to a neighbor, whether it means talking to a friend, whether it means just verifying that our best buddy is registered to vote, whether it means getting a few people to hold a block party where you talk about the issues and make sure that everyone has a plan to vote. Because if Mojave County shows up 100% or close to it, they can't cheat their way out of this in Maricopa County no matter what they do. And you all know what goes on in Maricopa County. I mean, you know the garbage that they're pushing down there. And that's why we're going to need all these counties outside of Maricopa County to show up. And I'm counting on Mojave County to lead the way with, can we do 95% or 100%? What do you think? You think 100%? Who says 95? Who thinks it's going to be closer to 100%? I tend to think if the way things are going with Biden, we're going to get closer to 100% than we ever thought.